One of the most common compliments that I get is on my skin. Everyone wants to know what I do from skincare to procedures. So I trust it all to SkinWorks Wellness in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Let me tell you, they know what they're doing. Whether it's hydrofacials to fillers or a full skin reset, they've got you covered. Be sure to follow them on Instagram and Facebook. They're always dropping monthly specials and flash sales. You do not want to miss these. And the best part is that consultations are always free. Book now and thank me later. What's up, guys? Welcome back for season 3 of Elite Life with Sam. I am so excited to be here, but today's going to look a little different. So I actually have Rich here. He's infiltrating our girly space, but we have a good reason why. So I really haven't had a chance to tell my story, and I get questions all the time about just certain aspects of my life and how I can speak on so many different, topics. And I think that most people don't really know. They get snippets and snapshots of my life, but they don't really know the full spectrum of what makes me who I am.
Literally the full spectrum.
Yeah. Well, it comes out, like I said, in conversation and stuff, but today I have asked Rich to come in and kind of lead the charge on this interview, so we're kind of switching spots. And you're a little nervous?
A little bit. I mean, this is not really my world. You put me under a car, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're right. You're quite unassuming.
It does seem to be a common theme that people expect me, and they say so. They're like, what was it the other day? Who were we talking to? And they said, no offense, the way you look is kind of prissy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't remember who that was, but
and
yeah. For
I
sure.
was like taken back for a second, and I had to chew on that quickly because we were right in the middle of a conversation. I was like, yeah, I get that, but no, not really.
Yeah, it's kind of like that old analogy back in school. You look like a meathead, you look like a jock.
Yeah.
So obviously you're stupid.
Yeah.
You're real pretty and all prissy and everything, so obviously you're a dumb blonde.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yeah, I'm blonde at the root.
There you go. But yeah, so you catch a lot of people off guard, especially when you start speaking. They're like, whoa, wait a second, hold on, back up.
Yeah.
But that all stems from where you came up and how you came up.
But I even think that kind of throws people off, and we're going to get into that pretty quickly, is because of where I'm from and where I was raised. If you know that part of my life, you don't expect me to be maybe as entrepreneurial or polished or as intelligent or experienced as I am in business. But then on the other hand, people who know me now don't expect to hear my background and my life story. So,
because you grew up in the sticks.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. I know this is going to be a bit different than normal. I think it's going to it's going to answer a lot of questions and maybe spark some more. But
I would say more of that than anything.
Yeah.
Spark more.
You got to
especially since the simple fact that you had to make a chant to spell where you came from.
It's true. We had a cheer.
That's bad.
Should I do it?
Go ahead.
APALACHICOLA. Hey, we are the best Appalach.
Most people have never heard of that place.
I know.
I surely had not ever heard of it until I met you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you were kind of taken back. Mm-hmm. So, where are we starting?
Start from the beginning. You were born.
Okay, so I was born, technically I wasn't born in Appalachia because we didn't even have a hospital, like a birthing hospital. My hometown is 3 miles wide by 3 miles deep in the panhandle of Florida. And it's truly a coastal paradise. Like fishing, hunting, everything that you can think of in that world, that outdoorsy type of world. We have the Gulf of Mexico right there, the Apalachicola Bay. I grew up barefoot, running the beaches, running up and down the riverbeds, fishing, in the woods. Like, our favorite game with my friends was Deer, Dog, and Hunter.
Don't forget shucking oysters, too.
Yeah, I could shuck oysters, but, like, I mean, I was still a kid. And that's what we did. Like, we grew up, and I grew up poor. I didn't know it then, but we were desperately poor. And my people were just working class people. Like, they came out of the construction and seafood industries. I grew up, I was the baby of 4 girls. My dad had 2 sets of a set of girls with his first wife, and they're quite a bit older. They're like 17 and 14 years older. And so we didn't technically grow up in the same household, but then Danielle and I, were my mom and dad's. And we grew up with a huge family. I counted once from my great-grandmother, who was alive the majority of my life. To me, I was the last grandchild of my generation before we all started having babies. There were 52 of us.
God.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
My grandmother had 5 girls, and my mom was the middle girl. So I grew up just surrounded by such a big community of hardworking people. My family was just, we got together on holidays, and it truly was like a storybook Southern upbringing, the good and the bad. You have the small town gossip, the religious trauma, and
Don't forget about the family that fought in the front yard naked.
Oh yeah, I mean listen, I'm not ashamed of it.
That's
My
as country as
people
it
are
gets.
straight rednecks. Like, when I say running around barefoot, I'm not kidding. Like, we had on bathing suits, right? Because we grew up at the beach. And we threw on a pair of shorts and just jumped on our bikes, and that's how, like, my dad would joke about his wild-haired kids, because we didn't even brush our hair, we didn't put it up in a ponytail, nothing. We were just radical children. But yeah, my people were real redneck, real redneck, But that's all I knew growing up, and I loved it, and I wouldn't change it.
There's still a little part of you that has that.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Don't play with me. I will fuck up a raw oyster.
I'm not talking about that part.
No, like, I can fish and I can hunt, and I love going shooting, and I love the way I was brought up. I chose not to raise my kids that way because I wanted to expose them to a different lifestyle, because it was kind of a miracle that I got out.
Yeah, because the majority of the people that grew up there,
Stay
they
there.
didn't get out, right?
Yeah, I can count on one hand how many people I know from, like, my era who got out. And not necessarily saying it's a bad thing to stay in the same small town that you were born and raised in. Don't misunderstand that. There's nothing wrong with that. I made a choice early, very young. I mean, I was a young teenager. I was getting out. I wanted out. I wanted a different life. I wanted different opportunities for myself and my kids.
Yeah, because your opportunities are very limited there.
Very.
It's so small.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
And you said the good jobs were real hard to come by, and they were very political.
Yeah, they're lifers. I mean, it's the same small town story.
On all of them, yeah.
Yeah, that you get a good county job, you work for the city or the county, something with benefits, and you live and die there. I didn't want that for me.
Yeah. Tell us about your religious background, because I know that was a huge part of your life, especially early on.
Yeah.
Like, you went to school in, like, a little church school.
So, to unpack that, I have to give a little backstory. My mom's family wasn't super religious. She's the one, my mom's side is the one that has lived generations, in Appalachia, Franklin County. My dad's people, not so much. He has some that are there, but they were between, like, Illinois or Missouri, North Carolina. They're kind of spread all over the place, and they're not tight-knit like my mom's people, but they were highly devoted religious folk, of the holiness religion, holiness denomination. And my dad subscribed to the King James version of Christianity, very legalistic, very much of the ideology of spare the rod, spoil the child. You'll love me or fear me, but either way you will obey me. And I know that's because of his upbringing. His dad, his parents were very, very religious. And I don't think he had a prayer's chance in hell. That's just how he was going to be, because pretty much all the kids, him and his siblings were like that. And so I think he parented us from a place of fear. He was too afraid to parent us from a place of love, because I don't think for him that amounted to much in his mind. He was very paranoid, and he feared a lot of things. He created a lot of fears within himself. And so he raised us to be holy, chaste, obedient children. And that was a tough one for me, because I wasn't made like that.
I know. You're not wired that way.
Mm-mm. I was a wild one from the start. Active. I talked all the time. I couldn't sit still. If my eyes were open, my feet were moving. And I had...
Titus.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I say all the time, like, my mom, I really got on my mom's nerves. She was like a little ball of nerves anyways, and she was a very anxious woman who had a hard time being a mom. And she would snap at me, and be like, I hope you have one just like you. Which she meant in a negative way, but has turned out to be the biggest positive, because I have two just like me.
Sheesh, yeah.
And they are so incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing. I just eat them up. I just love them so much. I love raising me.
Yeah. But your dad's story wasn't all...
It wasn't all
bad.
No, there were a lot of things. We have a complicated history, me and both my parents, because mental illness riddled both of them. And this is one of the negative parts of growing up in a small town, is that I feel like so much of that gets swept under the rug. Maybe not in today's times as much. I think they're coming around to talking about it more. But when my parents were coming up, you didn't talk about mental illness.
Yeah, it was taboo.
Very.
It was, here's some Ritalin and
no.
keep your kid calm.
Yeah, there was even no Ritalin. Not in the church.
Gotcha.
It was just iron fist.
And that's the weird part, is like I say weird, abnormal to me, is hearing the stories about some of the things that the churches expected of young men and women, really, or even children for that matter. And it's very almost appalling. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, that is crazy. Because I had never experienced that until I met you, and you kind of not exposed me, but told me the stories. And then you hear other people tell them, I'm like, oh my God, man, that's, how could you?
We were a really old school type of, like, the only churches I think that you've been exposed to have been more modernized churches.
Yeah, like Baptists or whatever.
Well, not even that, but there was a movement in the church to modernize things. And so what you experience is you walk in and you see a coffee shop and greeters at the front door, and you've got different activities. You've got the kids go over here and the teenagers go over here, and the adults go into the main sanctuary, and there's this big worship service with the lights and the smoke show and, the words up on the screen. And that is not at all my experience with church as a child. We had we had our sanctuary, and children, teenagers, all the way to the elders were in the same room, and we were expected to listen to these hellfire and brimstone sermons, and people running the aisles and jumping the pews and being slain in the spirit and falling out and speaking in tongues, and it went on for hours, and we sang out of a redback hymnal. And so when I say old school, brother, it was old school.
That did lead you into your kind of singing.
Well, that's where that part of growing up in the church I loved. I loved the music because we sang in 4-part harmony, and I learned to read sheet music, as a child, and I that sparked something in me. I loved the music aspect of it because the music wasn't scary. right?
Right.
The sermons were sending me to hell, but the music,
Right.
the music was not, you know?
Right, yeah.
And even still today, I listen to that stuff, you know, coming into work, and I know that's going to shock some people because they're like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
But it still feeds my soul, you know? I can sing bar for bar, you know, the old hymns. I love it. I know it's not cool anymore, but I love it. But yeah, so that's where the religious stuff came in, you know, and it was like you said, it wasn't all bad, and I don't want it to come across as me sitting here harping on it, but I want to show the full spectrum of what it is truly like and how damaging it can be. What I loved about it was the community. You know, have you ever heard of the phrase dinner on the ground?
No.
Okay. So it was like a fellowship time. It was a pretty regular occurrence where everybody would potluck something, you know, they'd bring stuff, and we'd all meet up in the fellowship hall, and we would have meals together, and the kids would go outside and play together. And in our church clothes, we would run into the woods beside the church, and the adults got to, you know, fellowship, and it was very much like, who brought the banana pudding, you know, like, it seems very Mayberry, and it was, with a dark side to it. So,
Well, everything kind of has its own dark side. But,
yeah.
But, okay, sorry. Not to jump ahead, but back to your dad's, your dad's kind of career. Like, he was pretty famous in your guys' little town. Like, he restored a lot of the historical homes. He made things by hand that couldn't be bought anymore. He replicated them to put it back to how it was from back in the day. And you got to be a big part of that. You learned a lot from him in that aspect.
So that was a formative time in my life. So yes, my dad very much fashioned his life after Christ. In that aspect, he was a carpenter by trade. Christ was a carpenter. And he was extremely gifted. The man was... It was insane the way his brain worked when it came to carpentry and woodworking and building. He couldn't just do anything halfway. And so that landed him, like you said, kind of as a local celebrity when it came to, because our town was founded at the turn of the century, you know, 1800s, and there were a lot of historical homes, a lot of the, because we were a import-export town, because the mouth of the Gulf of Mexico filed into the Apalachicola Bay, which went into the Apalachicola River, which went up, and that was the way that you shipped a lot of goods, was on boats,
right.
You know, and so we had a lot of industry there when it was all founded, and so there were these awesome, you know, ship captains' houses, you know, with the widow's walks on the top, and the people who owned the exchanges, you know, they were very, very wealthy men who built extravagant homes, and the Gibson Inn, and that was one that my dad, the Coombs House, he restored that, the Coombs Annex, all of the historical homes, like the private homes he worked on, and he restored them, not just modernized them,
right.
But he would go in and restore the woodwork. And a lot of that did have to be done by hand. And the churches, you know, I remember him restoring the bell tower because I went to a Baptist school. It was a church school. And when they took a crane and pulled down the bell, we got to do reports on the bell. We all got to go out and
That's cool.
see this, you know, turn of the century bell, and my dad was up on the building, and I was like, hey Daddy, you know. So that was really cool. And I did get to grow up on these job sites and see from a young age how he managed his crews and how he managed his subcontractors, the electricians, the plumbers, you know, the painters. I would help him. We would go meet with clients, and I would help him do all the estimates and write the contracts. And, you know, we would, as he was, going through his projects, which a lot of them were like year-long projects. So I learned like project management, and I learned a lot from him, and I learned a lot of what not to do from him. Elite Customs isn't just building cars, they're building a culture. As a female owner in a male-dominated industry, we are proud to pioneer a new kind of experience with women in mind, one where women feel empowered and inspired in the custom car space. From wraps to audio and everything in between, Elite is a full-service custom shop that makes your dreams a reality. Women want badass rides too, am I right? Follow Elite Customs TN on Instagram and TikTok. Inquire online at elitecustomstn.com. By appointment only, and consultations are always free.
That gave you a lot of your business intelligence and your bookkeeping potential skills, and it gave you all of the skills you use today to run multiple businesses and operate multiple businesses.
Yep.
And it took a lot of the fear away from being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, because that's all I ever knew. My dad never worked for anyone else my whole life.
Yeah.
He was self-employed.
And he built several of your homes.
Yeah.
Too, right?
Oh,
that
yeah.
You guys lived. I guess get back to because at some point you did go to church schools.
I did.
For most of the time. But then you guys ended up coming back and going to a regular high school, right?
A public high school.
A public high school.
So that was interesting. So I started out in K3 in church school. My dad meant I was not going to public school. I wasn't going to go with, I wasn't going to integrate myself in with those sinners. And so I grew up the majority of my life in private school, which is such a blessing, honestly, because we had access to really great education. And I'm very, very grateful for that because it wasn't cheap, and he prioritized that over a lot of things that he could have. He could have saved a lot of money and put it elsewhere.
Sure.
And so I'm grateful for that. My first short stint experience with public school, I was 9. And my dad was terrible with money. Just terrible with business. He was not a good businessman. And that's why I say, I learned a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do.
Sure.
He did a lot. He underestimated how terrible people can be. Mm. And so he did a lot of things with a handshake and a word. And you can't trust people like that.
That's unfortunate.
And so we lost a lot of things due to that business structure. And we ended up losing my childhood home. And we lost everything and had to move to Missouri and for him to work with his mentor, the one who taught him how to be a carpenter, for about a year. And I went to a public school, and it traumatized me. I went from being, in my little small southern town, like everybody's little favorite, blonde-headed little wild child, to I began to be bullied, and I was weird, and my accent was weird, and
you said the teacher didn't like you.
The teacher hated me. I'll never forget this woman, Miss Nicious. She was a German woman who was the devil.
You used to cry about being out there, right?
I cried every day. I cried in class, out of class. Meanwhile, Sharon Danielle is thriving. They loved her.
When they hated her
right.
Before you guys moved.
Yeah,
right.
she was bullied down south, and I was not accepted in the north. Get your little hick ass back down to Florida. So that gave me my first experience of, okay, well, the world's not always going to love you, and you do have to put on kind of a thick skin, and you have to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
And I had 2 friends in total. Megan and Greg. Megan Schnur, if you are out there, and Greg Arnold. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was my people. That's who I had. And we lived in our own little make-believe world.
Yeah.
So we ended up moving back to Florida. My dad was like, basically, fuck this. I'm tired of the snow. And
but that ended up putting a huge tear in your...
Yeah, that was kind of like the beginning of the end when I was 9.
Right. You started to develop anxiety and depression because of that.
I did.
Right?
Yeah, and it's hard to think of a 9-year-old struggling with anxiety and depression, but it was such a stark change in such a small amount of time, and I didn't know why. I couldn't comprehend.
process it, yeah.
And my parents would have never told me the financial straight. I found out years later what the deal was, but I couldn't understand, like, why am I being taken away from my home? Like, I'd lived in that same house my whole life, basically, and went to this school and grew up in this community. And not only did I have none of that, I had no family.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, I had no cousins, I had no aunts, I had no uncles around me. And you have to understand, I grew up in my backyard was one of our best friends growing up. Across the street was my uncle's house. Behind him was my grandmother's house. So we would literally run through yards to get straight to my grandmother's house. Like, I grew up in a bubble. And then all of a sudden my bubble burst and I was thrown out into the world, and I again was expected to be a well-behaved, quiet, obedient child. You didn't talk back. You weren't allowed to have emotional outbursts. And so I learned to internalize a lot. And that's majorly where a lot of the anxiety and depression began to grow. So, yeah.
And then that also led into your mom developing what you guys believe was already there. It just stressed it, and it ended up coming out as what you believe is bipolar, right?
Yeah.
Or is that proven? Like,
yeah.
Actual
diagnosed
bipolar. Yeah. So, and that created then that tear.
Yeah.
Well.
So that, like I said, that was the
11,
beginning
right?
of the end, and she, that was a huge life change for all of us. Some positive, some negative. And I do believe that's what kicked off or aggravated the bipolar disorder. Like I said, growing up in the South, you don't talk about mental health. So we ended up moving back to Florida, and I, for the first time, breathed a sigh of relief, and I was like, okay, things can start to go back to normal. And all of a sudden, my mom left.
Yeah.
She's just like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. And we went from being a close family unit to Mom was here going absolutely buck wild. I'd never seen anybody drink or party or smoke or, anything like that. But all of a sudden I was exposed to this, and I'd never seen a drunk person. I had, but not a parent. I'd seen other family members.
And this is at like 11, 12 years old.
10, 11, yeah.
Young.
Yeah, and my dad went into a horrible depression. Like, if he got up to go to work and that's it. He just laid in the floor. That's it.
So both of your parents suffered from some sort of mental disorder.
Yeah.
And that you witnessed that. And that kind of took a hold of you a little bit, right?
Yeah, it tore my family apart, and it never was right again, ever. There was never a safe space again. And so from that point, I had to learn very quickly how to navigate life for myself, how to keep myself safe, how to navigate growing up, how to protect myself emotionally, spiritually, physically, because my dad became very angry, and he as much as he parented from a place of fear before, he doubled down on that after that. And you call it corporal punishment. It's not. It's abuse. The way that we were punished was abusive. Yeah. When you're leaving marks and bruises on a little girl, there's no exception. Yeah. That's just wrong. And so I figured out how to not be a problem. My sister, on the other hand, was the whole problem. She was so defiant. Yeah. And so a lot of their attention was put on her because she was hurting as well. Sure. And she was acting out. And
because she's 2 years older than you, right?
She's 2 years older than me.
Kind of understood a little more.
Yes. She saw a lot more than I did. And so she bore the brunt of a lot of their, outbursts and stuff. And she didn't cause a lot of things. Danielle's not going to comply ever at any point in her life.
She always goes opposite.
100%.
Even if she doesn't care, it's
Yeah.
opposite. That's
I
fine.
learned that compliance kept me safe. And so I would just do anything and everything to not upset them.
I remember you telling me a story that you used to put yourself in your closet and hide under clothes.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was at that point. I was having panic attacks.
Right.
I thought I was dying. But my dad would come in and he would hear me, crying, and they're extremely painful and scary.
Right.
And I'd be spanked because I was being dramatic. And so I learned to go into my closet and go, under the hanging clothes so it would muffle the sound. And I would have a panic attack by myself. And sometimes I would just pass out in the closet.
And I've witnessed these before, and there's nothing you can do. You can't help. There's nothing you can do, and you just have to, get through it as best you know how. And they mess you up for a day almost.
Yeah.
They mess your throat up. They mess your stomach up. They really affect you in a big way. And I had never experienced that prior to being with you. That seems pretty scary, especially for a young adolescent to deal with that and not have any idea of what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think if anybody asks the same question of how can I help, what can I do, is just create a safe space for the aftermath of it. Is the come down is really hard. And so just, you're awesome when you'll get me cold water, and, you're always there if I need anything, and you're a present support. And I think that that's really underestimated by a lot of people, because witnessing it is scary, and people want to be hands-on and stop it.
Yeah, they want to jump in and help.
But you can't. All you can do is be there afterwards to remind whoever it is, you're safe, you're loved, you're supported. Can I get you a snack? Can I get you a beverage? You need cold water? Do you need whatever, Whatever it is that brings that person some kind of comfort.
Yeah.
Because it's terrifying. Every time. It doesn't matter how many panic attacks you've had. Every time is scary.
Right. We'll go in a little more. So your mom and dad split. They got a divorce. Mm-hmm. You shared your time back and forth for a little while.
For a little while.
And then same with Danielle, a little while. And then at some point, you guys split up.
Yeah.
Danielle went with your mom, and you went with your dad. And
yeah, my mom was wild. She loved the bars and dated. She was a serial dater. She always had a new man. Well, she finally found one who married her, and he was a great man. He looked just like
Trace Atkins.
Trace Atkins.
And then he worked on the oil rigs.
He worked on the oil. He sure did. So, but he was from Mississippi, Louisiana area, and she obviously relocated to be with him, and Danielle saw her out. She was like, "Word, I'm there. I'm going with you." And I chose to stay with my dad. And that was kind of the beginning of a really long era of Danielle and I growing apart and not really having much of a relationship. We grew two different directions. And I stayed with my dad, and life changed yet again, where I was the sole focus. I was the subject of all of his attention.
You were the last of the Mohicans, is what he said.
Yeah.
You were his last chance.
Yeah. He would
to
say,
get it right.
"You're my last chance to get it right." And so I felt this incredible responsibility to be perfect and do anything I could to satisfy him, please him and his goals and his plans for my life.
And you still sort of carry that a little bit. You've let go of it a little, but you still kind of carry that.
I think I carry a responsibility to make something of myself. It's not so much to please him.
Oh, no, I meant to be perfect.
Yeah.
That's what you carry.
Yeah, because that's all I've ever known.
Yeah.
Even as children, people would be in awe at us because of how well behaved we were. And they would just dote on us, the parish girls. We were the parish girls, and oh my God, you can take your children anywhere, and they're so polite and well spoken and well educated, and we were like little adults, little miniature sized adults walking around, and that seems impressive, right? But that's not what kids are meant to be.
No. But you were well educated.
Yeah.
You graduated early. You
Yeah.
put yourself through all of that.
Yeah, I got a little taste of freedom about 14 when I got my first real job. And once I started earning a little bit of money and I didn't have to be in the house all the time, because I was the type of kid, I learned how to judge his footsteps, how he pulled in the driveway. Like, I could tell if it was a good day or a bad day. And I didn't have to do that every day, and I was pissed off that they could only work me so many hours. So I got a second job. I was like, this job can work me so many hours, and then this job can work me so many hours. And then I decided school just bored me to death. So I went through a program where I did 4 years in 2. Kind of like a fast-paced system. And so I graduated early, and then I could get as many jobs as I wanted. And we had a lot of financial issues. Like I said, my dad was terrible with money. And so there was a point in time where I was homeless. And he had lost, again, the place we were living, and he had situated where I could go stay with an aunt, and she hated my guts and made my life hell. And so I would go crash with friends as much as I could, and the days I couldn't crash with my friends, I would sleep in my car. And I just...
Which you also bought by yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no one ever bought anything for me.
You went to the place, and the only reason you had to have your dad involved is because you weren't old enough, right?
Yeah.
He had to sign for it, but you paid it.
Yeah, when I was 16, I bought a car. And then when I was 18, I upgraded that car by myself. And I called him, and I was like, hey, I need you to come down to the dealership and sign for me. And I just need you to co-sign on this. But by that point, I had such a long-standing work history, and he had seen how good I was with money and seen, I was pretty much self-sufficient. I just didn't have my own place at that point.
Right.
But I was paying bills. I was paying my own way, buying my own food, my own clothes. Like, by 18, yeah, by 18, I was just as much an adult as anybody else.
Sure.
So, yeah, it was just, I learned early that if I'm going to be stable, I'm going to provide it for myself.
Sure. Well, let's rewind a little bit, because you said church brought you singing, and you loved to sing.
I did.
And so your dad backed you in that.
Mm-hmm.
He loved that fact that you were, singing, and so he let you travel. So you got a taste of traveling because you sang, and you recorded a couple of albums. And
that's crazy.
I know.
That
I
seems
just
like
recently
so
found
long
them. Remember?
Yeah.
And
I started singing as a child in church, and then I don't even fully remember how it all happened. Ended up hooking up with this label called Paradigm. It was a small Christian label, and recorded a couple of albums and did some touring, and did that for several. I think I was 14 or 15 my first album, and 17 my second album. And I loved it. I loved the whole process. I loved being in the studio and, just everything. But because of the pressure of everything, I did eventually develop some stage fright. But that's how I met my first husband. He was signed with a group on a different label. I was signed with this label. And we were at the same conference. I sang Southern Gospel. It was more like contemporary Southern Gospel. But that's how we met. And so Dad and I would tour around to different churches and venues and conferences, and I got to sing.
Yeah. And he approved of your first husband, because of what he did and his beliefs, right?
Yeah.
Because your dad was very adamant about who you were with.
Oh, yes.
To the point where you couldn't date who you wanted to. You had to date another guy, but then you would go out on other dates with other guys.
We were each other's
while he was
beards.
dating somebody else.
So this guy, who was not my first husband, let me be very clear. He was a lot older than me, and we dated one another, but he dated someone else. I was his cover.
And he was married, or she was married,
To
right?
the general public, he was dating me, but in private, he was dating someone else. Well, same. In private, I was dating other people, and there was a time, and my dad loved him. He was like Southern Gospel royalty, right?
Right.
Multi-generational Southern Gospel singer. And I think my dad would have married him himself.
How in the hell does that arrangement come? Hey, listen, I got a proposition for you.
It was just kind of like unspoken. It was like, okay, I see what's happening here, you know?
Okay.
So he,
So it wasn't like a handshake deal.
no,
Okay.
it was more like, oh, okay. Okay,
I got you.
I see what you're doing. I smell what you're stepping in. But yeah, so we kept that facade going enough, but my dad started kind of catching on. Because, again, I lived in a small town, and he got pissed because in his mind, I was cheating on him.
Oh, I didn't know you found out.
He kind of did, but I had to, like, smooth it over and be like, oh, that's not what it is, you know? That's not... You think I know
And
that's
then
what
you
it looks
ended
like.
up breaking up with him.
Yeah, we ended up breaking up. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you dated another guy that he loved.
Yeah. I knew how to pick them to make my dad happy.
Yeah, but you actually did like this guy.
Yeah.
And he did something real skeevy, and you ended up no.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that one right there.
But
Ooh.
yeah, but and then the guy
I was
that
a
you-
pro at breaking up with people. Let me tell you something.
But the guy that you ended up like actually being with, that you thought was the love of your life at that time, your dad hated. He hated him, right? Mm-hmm.
My dad was very, very protective, but he had his concept of what was good and bad.
Right.
And there was no shaking that. And he was a pro at chasing people off with baseball bats,
I remember you telling me those
guns.
stories.
Yeah. He was a scary dude.
Yeah, I remember you telling me those stories too. But
Yeah.
So anyway, so you met your first husband, and you ended up getting married.
From the time we met to walking down the aisle was 6 months. And he lived in
That's fast.
Illinois and I lived in Florida. And it was not the smartest decision that we ever made. I'm not ever going to tell someone that's a good decision to marry someone that you've dated for 6 months long distance.
Well, that young too. That also makes it hard.
Yeah.
That young.
Yeah.
Because you were 18.
I was no, when we got married I was
19.
20.
Oh, 20. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were 18 for some. 19. But okay. So but did he move down? Did he move down to Florida? Or you guys moved to Tennessee?
We moved to Illinois for a time.
Okay.
So at this time, he was still traveling. I came off the road and started working in odd jobs, but I ended up doing makeup
Right.
for Estee Lauder. And then we moved to Tennessee. I finally got a relocation.
That would be something I don't believe people would be super surprised about.
No, they never are. They are never surprised by the makeup thing.
No, I don't see why. Don't see why.
Yeah, but we moved down and we moved into this little piece of crap apartment. And I will say this. My birth control turned 16 this year.
Maybe use 2 forms or 3.
Yeah.
If you're really not trying to have one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was God's way of going, I got you.
I was
Good luck.
devastated.
Yeah.
I was devastated. I was on the floor and I'm like, what am I going to do with a baby?
Because originally you didn't really want kids.
No.
I
I knew
at
one
that time
day.
you didn't.
Oh, no, not at that time. One day I wanted them, but I knew I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
God said, I got something for you.
You learn to get ready quick.
Yeah.
And we struggled, but we ended up, had Noah, and he came off the road, and we went into ministry together, local So it's called local church ministry.
In Illinois.
Tennessee.
By this time, you moved to Tennessee.
Yeah, we moved to Tennessee before I even got pregnant.
Oh, okay.
And so we went into local church ministry, and when I tell you we did everything but lead pastoral role. Associate pastor, youth pastor, children's minister, worship leader, creative director, like we've done it all.
And I've actually seen this firsthand when people realize that you know so much about the Bible and how it all works. Like we had a customer come in one time and started talking about it, and you just listened. Like you just sit back in the cut and listen, and he's talking, and then you start to engage, and real quickly they're caught off guard and go, "Oh my God, like you know just as much as me, if not more."
So
And
that's
that
not
catches them
something
off
that I
guard.
talk about often because people get really defensive over religion really quickly. And I know this from working in the church so intimately. I don't care to debate about it anymore. I believe what I believe because of my experiences firsthand and what I've studied. I think it's funny when people underestimate me. I've read the Bible cover to cover several times.
But just to be clear, you've read it a lot of times, and you went to a church at a younger age and were brought up a certain way.
Yeah.
However, now you have broke down those passages and try to see it from different angles and different lenses to not be so straight lined.
Here's how I like to present it. That I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I don't believe in the organized, westernized church.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. The church that we think of today here in America is an industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry. That is not Christianity.
Right.
And I don't care to be a part of it anymore. I played that game for a lot of years, and it broke my heart, and it caused a lot of issues. It caused a lot of hurt. And when I stepped away from it and I made the personal decision, I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm not going to interact with this whole realm anymore. I began to heal in incredible ways that I would never, ever, ever go back.
Yeah. You led ministries. You and your first husband led ministries, and so go into that a little bit more, because that was a big part of your guys' life.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to really meet and interact with and learn from a lot of really cool people. Some of them really held a mirror up to who I was at the time, in good ways and bad ways. Some people that I got to meet, and I don't think I would have otherwise, made me go, "Oh wait, I want to know more of what you know. I want to think like that. Like, just talk. I just want to be around you and listen to you talk."
Right.
And some people, I learned the depth of manipulation through church.
And the industry from behind the scenes.
The depths of, just evil manipulation. And people hide behind the name of Christ and wave the Christian flag to distract from just the hatefulness in their heart. But it's not all bad.
Sure.
It's not all bad. I would just say, as a rule of thumb, it's business first, faith second.
But the use of the misuse of funds and power, and and
I learned my lesson there because I confronted a lead pastor.
Right.
I had and I won't give too many details.
Sure.
Because a lot of people listening will know. I started some ministries, and I wasn't given full all the responsibility fell on me, but I couldn't make all of the decisions, right? That went through a board and the lead pastor, and I wasn't even given a voice in the matter. But I was told, you have to run these ministries. Even though I started them, It was, you run them the way we tell you to run them, or you're fired. Well, I discovered misuse of funds, straight up stealing, and I tried to expose this to the board, and I was shut down very quickly on multiple occasions, and it pissed me clean off. Because what do you mean you're not going to listen to me? I have proof that this is happening. And I couldn't wrap my head around why this lead pastor kept shutting me down. And I confronted him in not a very mature and Christian way. And I said some things that were probably borderline inappropriate, however called for. And we had heated exchange of words. And that's when I was given the ultimatum of shut up, do your job the way I tell you to do it. And if you can't fulfill your role, you're fired. And I was like, cool, fire me. And we ended up leaving pretty shortly after that, you know. But a lot of responsibility of things, because I wouldn't play the game long term, and especially there towards the end, I was just so tired of it. You know, I kept causing issues. That's the way it was billed. You're the issue. When in reality it was, I don't play your game. I'm not doing this to make you happy. This is wrong. I'm going to call out the wrong. And I kept being silenced and fired. Happened twice. And the last time it happened, that's when I was like, I will never, ever work in a church again. I'm not even going to volunteer. I can minister on my own time, in my own way. I don't have to be part of an organized church.
Right.
So we went to another church, and I was pressured into doing things, being involved in ministries that I didn't want to be. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't healed. I wasn't in a place to minister. And that is a big issue in modern church, is that it's a well-oiled machine, but it's people, and people aren't machines, and they're breaking people down, and they're squeezing the last bit of life that people have out of them for the bigger picture, the benefit of the church, not the people, not the body. It's rarely about the body. It's about what can I get out of the body. So there's my soapbox on that.
So that led you out of that profession.
Yeah.
And into... You decided to open. So you became a stay-at-home mom after Titus was born.
Titus was born. We moved. We purchased our house, moved into the house where my children were raised. And times were tough, you know. My ex-husband got out of ministry. I got out of ministry. And we began to face down the ugly truth of the years of things that we had pushed down.
Sure.
Hurt, resentment, the fact that we had grown into two different people who wanted two different things, and I had a baby at home.
Two now.
Yeah, well, yeah, Noah wasn't a baby.
He
was
okay,
5
sorry.
when Titus was born, so he was in school. And we rocked on like that for a little while, but financially, it was very, very difficult, and we were not meeting ends, not even kind of. And I remember praying one day and going, all right, God, these are the skills I have. What can I do? I got to do something. I can't go get a job because I'll be making just enough to cover daycare, and what's the point of that? And
some of these skills fell back on what you learned as a child from your dad.
Yeah.
Helping your dad out.
So I looked at this and I was like, okay, what do I know how to do, right? And what are useful skills that will make me quick money? And this is when Fixer Upper started getting big. And everybody was into the chalk paint, which is the devil. And I began to see the style and the trends. Well, this is stuff I'd learned to do as a child, like antiquing things. Are you kidding me? Like, I knew the old school way of creating antiques.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, word, I can do this. Went to Goodwill, took $20 out of my grocery fund, which was already laughable. And I bought a dresser. And I brought it home. And I refinished it the old, like, legit way. I didn't use a speck of chalk paint on this. And I threw it up on Craigslist. It's back when Craigslist was still, relevant. And I wrote a description. I was like, you know, fixer-upper style, you know, what.
Professionally refinished.
Yeah, I went through the list. Like, this is how I refinished it, and I went through my steps and the products that I used, and I listed it for $200, and then at the bottom I just wrote simply, now taking orders. And that sold same day, which meant that I could pay our electricity bill. Our electricity was about to be turned off. And I got 12 orders the first month for custom furniture pieces. And so I strapped Titus to me, and I went to work. They commissioned me to find the pieces. You know, some I would have to find the pieces, some they brought to me, and I had this unfinished garage space that had no heat, no air, and basically barely any lighting. And I bought products with that $200 and paid the electricity bill and went to work with him strapped to me. And as I could, you know, I would put his pack and play out there, and he would play, and, you know, he napped out there in the garage, and I built this business that ended up providing for our whole lives. I mean, it just exploded because I was very, very, very good at what I did. And I knew how to land clients. I knew how to sell my product. I knew how to sell myself. I knew how to market. And I was going up against men who had no idea how to market. They had no idea what branding meant.
Right.
And I became the cabinet girl, you know, and I could tear down a whole kitchen and put it back together, refinished in 5 days.
I know, it's pretty damn impressive. Being 5'0" and doing it by yourself, it was impressive to watch.
I didn't feel like I had a choice because during this time, he and I ended up getting divorced. And I had a mountain of debt that I all of a sudden was, you know, saddled with. And I had to figure it out. I'm 600 miles away from any family by myself with 2 kids. And he's, you know, he gets the kids 50% of the time. And so I didn't think it was right to have him pay child support.
Sure.
You know, if you have him 50% of the time, that's what that would cover. And we split all the bills down the middle, you know, that had to do with the kids, school and clothes and daycare and whatnot. But I had no choice. I had to figure it out. That was my choice, my only choice. Okay, ladies, you know I'm all about taking care of myself inside and out, especially when life gets busy. And right now, SkinWorks Wellness in Hendersonville, Tennessee is running their October specials. And let me tell you, these are so worth checking out. They're offering treatments that seriously level up your glow, like Silfirm X and Erbium Laser Combo. It's $1,250 and basically hits reset on your skin. We're talking smoother texture, boosted collagen, and that brighter, youthful look that makeup just can't fake. If you want something more seasonal and fun, they've got the Dermaplane and Pumpkin Peel for $150. It's such a perfect fall glow up. Think smooth, radiant skin that feels fresh and healthy. Or, my personal favorite, the microneedling and PRP treatment for $450. It uses your own plasma, your body's natural magic, to rejuvenate your skin and leave it firmer, smoother, and seriously radiant. And for my SkinWorks members, you get 10 free units of Botox with every syringe of filler. That's their little members-only perk to keep you looking refreshed and youthful without overdoing it. So go ahead, treat yourself this month. Call or stop by SkinWorks Wellness and tell them Sam from Elite Life sent you. Because honestly, you deserve to feel confident and glow like you own the place.
And when we met, it was a very impressive, successful business. Like you had them lined up for months.
Yeah.
And they would wait. No problem. They would wait.
Yeah.
And you would like clockwork. I remember when we first got together, if it was wintertime, you were painting cabinets. You'd put the kids down for bed, and you were painting cabinets in the house, in the kitchen. And then before they woke up in the morning, you pack them all up and set them aside, feed them, take them to school, come back out and lay them all back out and paint them again because it was warm inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very, very impressive setup that you
When I
made it
tell
work.
you, women are figure outers.
Figure outers.
Yeah. Don't tell us it can't be done because we're going to figure out how to make it happen.
You're right.
And if it means us making it and providing for our kids or not, I promise you, we're
Yeah.
going to figure it out.
I remember when our first Christmas, you go ham on Christmas
Yeah.
and Halloween.
Yeah.
You love both of those.
Don't play with me
holidays.
about Halloween.
So, and I found out later on that goes back to your childhood because you guys didn't celebrate too terribly much of any holidays.
Yeah.
So,
My dad hated Christmas. And so we didn't, after my mom, after they divorced, we didn't celebrate Halloween.
yeah. Okay.
In a religious household, no. But I love Halloween because it's such a community holiday, Everybody's excited to see the decorations and, everybody goes to everybody's houses and it's acceptable, It's all about the candy and the kids and the community and
You're really doing stuff for other people,
I know.
for kids.
And it's fun. It's
And we even have people that come out and grill hot dogs, and I mean, they got a whole setup that they're handing out to people.
I love our
That's
neighborhood.
awesome. Oh man, people come from everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to have cops patrol the entrances in our neighborhood because there's so many people.
Yeah.
You can't drive down the road. It's It's impossible.
Oh no, you're walking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
It's crazy.
That does something for me. And I wanted my kids to have that, to look. I think Noah paid me one of the biggest compliments the other day. He sent me this TikTok, and it was the beige aesthetic, the beige mom. And he was like, thank you for not raising me like this. Because our house has always been just chock full of colors and thrifted finds, and we decorate with streamers for birthdays, and I'm going to have a disco ball somewhere. Any room, it's going to be there.
Or skeleton.
Or skeleton. Yes.
Disco skeleton.
Sometimes it's a disco skeleton.
You have that right now.
But
currently.
it just meant something to me because I was like, damn, kid, thanks. Like, I needed to hear that.
Yeah. No, I think our kids are very eclectic.
Yeah.
I mean, they all have their own little style. I mean, hell, Noah and his friends go to the thrift store. It's kind of crazy. But
I
that's
love
a
that I
rub-off.
raised thrift kids.
That's a rub off of you.
Even
You
Richie's
rub off.
becoming a thrift kid.
I know, but so I mean, Christmas was a big deal for you. You love it, and you go all out. And I know you said not long ago you were like, yeah, maybe when the kids move out, we'll dial it back a little bit. And I was like, the hell we will. I know better than you, because the kids are gonna come over at Christmas and they're gonna be like, what is this? Like, what the hell?
What
Where's
happened to
everything
mom?
at?
Is she depressed?
Yeah, and then grandkids and all that. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And you got skeletons out in the front yard. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen, I have
dude.
gingerbread Halloween houses. They're my favorite. They're so cute.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
probably won't
let's
change.
go back when we met. When we met, tell I've told my perception of when we met. Tell us your perception. So you got divorced and built your company and things were going well.
Yeah. I was fine by myself.
And then I screwed up your whole world.
You did. I went on some dates. They were train wrecks. I'm not going to lie. Like, ended up on a date with a married guy. Didn't know he was married till the date. And I was like, oh, I'm finding your wife. Sent her all the info and immediately blocked her. I was like, this is for you to deal with, not me. I will tell on you. Like, don't play with me. Ended up with a stalker. Ended up with a really shitty boyfriend. And so I was just like,
How about the guy that made up the whole story in the taxi cab about you guys being married? with
bro, that was
kids
the
and-
stalker.
Oh, I didn't know he stalked you.
Yeah, that was the weird one. Yeah, the dating pool got a lot of turds in it. And so I'm a lot like Danielle in the way that I get a lot of joy from terrorizing men. It's a favorite pastime of mine. And so I was having a wine night with some girlfriends, and they were kind of on me because they're like, Sam, you got to get back out there. Like, put yourself out there. You need to start dating like you're young and you're hot and you're successful. And you need to get out there, right? There's good guys. And I was on a mission to prove to them there weren't. So I got on the dating apps, and my goal was to see how quickly I could get a guy to unmatch me. Like, how many can I get to match with? And then the clock started. How fast can I get them to unmatch? I think my best time was about 11 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
But I would screenshot it and send it to my girlfriends. We'd have a good laugh in our group text, and whatnot. And then I met you. I found you, and you just didn't cling. You didn't catch anything. I was trying to be rude to you, and you were just so sweet. And I found a couple of ways to throw you off center, but your rebound game is real strong. You don't stay down for long.
I remember you said something to the effect of, "Oh, okay, I see. He's real good. Okay, I got it. Okay."
Oh yeah, yeah. Every time you would because in my mind, is you were a player, like you were pivoting, right? You were figuring out ways to navigate my sarcasms and my cut downs, and I was like, oh, he wants it bad.
Well, in truth, I didn't even catch none of them. I was just oblivious to them.
Yeah, I remember specifically, you had a photo with your dog. It was a pit bull, and I had a pit bull. And I was like, oh, tell me about your dog. And you were like, oh, yeah, I don't have her anymore. I had to rehome her because we were just too busy, and I felt bad, leaving her at home alone. And I was like, oh, right there. And I was like, well, I have a pit bull, and I could never rehome him. He's like one of my children.
I remember that comment.
I mean, I was laying in thick like, you terrible person for rehoming you. Do I really think you're terrible? No. But this was an opportunity to start one of those kind of arguments where I could get you to unmatch, right?
Sure.
Because you were really running up the clock, homeboy. And you just didn't even catch it. You were like, oh my God, that's awesome. I can tell you really, tell me more about your dog. And I'm like, bitch, you don't get to know about my dog. I'm not telling you about my Leo, my perfect, precious, can do no wrong baby Leo, peasant.
The governor.
The governor of Cambridge Farms.
Oh, Urkel. I swear he should have worn glasses.
He was my babe.
Nerd glasses.
You don't get to meet my dog.
So we matched. We ended up going on our first date, and you do the normal talk back and forth. What do you do? How's this? Whatever. And
you didn't let up either. You gave it back just as hard as I gave it. You picked on me the whole night.
Not the whole night.
I couldn't get away with nothing.
Come on.
You talked about how short I was. When I complained about the rain, you're like, you're not sugar. You're not going to melt. Like, damn. Okay.
But I was kind.
No, you were funny. You were definitely like, you could keep up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we talked about what we did, right? And I could understand what you did. You always label it as a decorative painting, right? Okay, explain what that means, because painting could be all around.
Yeah, you got it a lot quicker than I did.
Well, that's because my mom and stepdad used to own a painting company.
Yeah.
They didn't paint cabinets per se, but they painted homes and sprayed them, and so I kind of knew the process as a kid. Not to your level by any means, but I somewhat knew it, right?
Yeah.
But my world, you just, no matter what I tried to explain, you were like, I'm sorry, I just don't understand. So you're a mechanic. And I was like, no, I'm not a mechanic.
I could not understand why that offended you so badly.
And it's offensive to people that are in my industry.
Sure.
However, we do some mechanical stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I remember telling you, what I tell most everybody, we don't get dirty like that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't come home with grease under our fingernails most of the time, and we just don't do it. So
yeah, I mean, I get it now that I'm, neck deep in this industry. It's like don't take away what I've earned.
My skill.
Yeah, like I put in the work. I earned.
So tell us about that. After I explained it to you, I was like, well, let me just show you, because we're right around the corner from the shop. Yes,
so I'm on this first date with this, prison break looking motherfucker.
Oh, damn.
And
here we go.
And you're just getting offended, by me calling you a mechanic, and you're like, let me just show you. So we ride around the corner, and we show up at this dark ass building. and at night, and you walked me through, and your whole face changed. You went into almost this trance, but it was like this goofy, happy trance. Once you started talking about cars and showing me like, oh yeah, okay, let me tell you, we do this, and you see this part, looks like it came on the car, but it didn't. I did this, and you're like going around and you're pointing out and you're picking up tools and you're picking up car parts, and I didn't exist at that point. You went into your secret space, and I'm like, what just happened? Who is this? Where did he go? What just happened to him? And you just kept on. And you were like, yeah, let me show you something else, and you showed me this, and then you want to show me these motorcycles. And the whole time I'm like, know where your exits are. He's going to kill you. Don't get too far. Always keep something between you and him, But you just kept talking, and it never faded. And I was like, oh my God, he really is legitimately like this. Like, this wasn't just to get me alone in a dark building. He doesn't know I'm here. And that was really my first experience of seeing you. Like, you in your purest, most sincere form. And although I did still know where my exits were.
I found that out later.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I found that months later.
So we get out of, we snake our way back through the maze, and we walk out of the building, and I finally breathed the sigh of like, okay, he can't outrun me, although now I know you can. But people can hear me scream on the outside. But you were just so sincere, and you were so excited. You're like, you get it now? You get it? I was like, I do get it. And when it clicked, it was this whole world of, oh my God, you can do to cars what I do to houses. Mm-hmm. And then I jumped in and I was like, well, can you do this? Well, what about this? And I saw you start considering things you had never thought of, because I didn't know what I could and couldn't ask. So I just suggested everything,
right.
And when you started, your wheel started turning of suggestions that I was making of, color combinations and textures, and, well, can we make it look like this? And what if we did it like this? And I saw you get excited because it was like, oh, somebody else, she's going to push my creative limits a little bit too. And so that was fun. That was a really fun era in our relationship.
And I remember kind of a couple weeks later or whatever, picking at you because we rode in your car and you didn't even have tinted windows. I'm like, good Lord, it's dead of summer. Like, my arm's on fire because the sun's coming in. I'm like, can I just get your windows tinted?
Okay. Let me, in my defense, okay? The car thing. I didn't know. I thought you bought the cars that way. I didn't know
you also thought they came tagged when you bought them.
I did. I thought if you bought the tag with your car, it was that.
It's valid forever.
It was
until you sold the car.
Worked into your payment.
Yeah.
And that's what you did.
Yeah. It should be that way.
Until you sell the car.
Yeah. 4 years later, you get pulled over.
I didn't know about registration.
Nobody ever told you.
No one ever told me. So
just throw it away and buy a new car.
Well, because they were like, transfer your tag. I thought, that's my tag. Like a social security number. That's my identification.
For the rest of your life, that's your tag.
Yeah. No. I got it now. I got it. I learned a lot. So yeah, then you started teaching me about aftermarket stuff, and then I bought the Escalade.
Got the Caddy.
Yeah, got the Escalade.
You always wanted.
Black Betty. Yeah, that was such like a G move, like a blacked out Escalade. That's when you know you made it. And it was the right body style.
That's when you learned the term murdered out.
Yeah. And it was like that iconic body style, and she was nasty.
She was.
She's the Starlight roof and the system in it and all the rose gold accessories, and
we started fully customizing. You really got to let loose a little on that car.
Yeah.
And so we
That's the first time you used metallics too. You were like, wait, damn, that looks good.
Yeah, the rose gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we did the calipers and we wheels and we lowered it and
Yeah.
we wrapped it
Yeah.
matte black and
Yeah, and the
blacked it all the
kids,
way out.
the kids were just like, "What is this?
Yeah.
What is happening?" You know, they ran in stock cars their whole life. Like, let Mama teach you some stuff. Yeah. And the day she burned down was just the worst day ever. I mean, I just had to sit there and watch it burn down.
That was a sad day.
It was terrible.
Sad day.
It
Because
was.
we'd probably still have that thing.
Oh, I promise you I would. You
love
couldn't
that
pry it
car.
out of my cold dead hands.
You love that car.
But I can't buy another one. I'm too traumatized. I would. I mean, any kind of bump or burp or gurgle,
You'd be freaking out. You'd
I'd
be
be like-
jumped out on the side of the road.
sure would.
It was a crazy day.
It
Well, we
was.
got you another one right after it.
I hated that thing.
I know, but we
Detested
customized
it. But the Jeep now.
Yeah, now
Then
you
we got
your
the Jeep. So, but yeah,
You got your Jeep. You got to customize that one.
yeah,
So
loved it.
that was your introduction into the custom world. Like,
Yeah.
here you go. Throw you in the
And
deep end.
now you've created a monster, and I expect all of my cars to be customized.
And you come back here and try to change my designs on other people's cars. You're like, hey, you should do that. And I'm
No,
like,
when you're
"That's not
wrong,
what I
you're
wanna
wrong.
do." It's not what I want to do. So, okay, so now, you know, what, 2, 3, almost 4 years ago, I guess we brought your sister up from Florida.
Yeah, so she moved up here in 2021 after Hurricane Michael. She was in healthcare, long-term
But that
healthcare.
kind of rekindled your guys' relationship.
Yeah, I think God had to strip everything away from her. She had nothing left, no job. You know, she'd gone through a divorce. There was just not anything left back home for her to really stay for.
Yeah,
And so it was an easy sell. Like, move up here, we're growing, we need you,
sure.
you know, in the office. And so she packed a U-Haul and headed up here. And that was really the first time in so many years that we got to really get to know each other again. We got to create our own foundation without outside influences trying to tear it down.
And you guys did go through a small stint where you didn't talk at all
We went
for a
through
couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, that was awful. Because no matter what people say, like, there's something to be said about having a relationship with your siblings.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate that not everybody can, and that's outside of their control. But I think I'm a better person when I have her in my life, and same for her. You know, we joke because it's like we're, you know, full blood related sisters, but we're so different in so many ways, and so we like force each other to stretch and bend, and
You guys even took a DNA test
we
to
showed it.
prove that you were related.
We showed
And it did.
And our family was so offended that we did the DNA test. Like, after so many years of people asking us, "Are you sure you're related?" And then they're clutching their pearls that we did a DNA test. Like, come on. But yeah, she's here now, and it's when we say family owned and run business, y'all, this is the most complicated shit. Like, we have a husband and wife running 3 different companies, married, like doing like married life and then business life. And then, oh yeah, my big sister is
And now her son works here.
is one of the managers, and now her oldest son works for us, and we're just a glutton for punishment.
But we do have a lot of big things. Like, we just got finished with our slush event that you orchestrated and carried out, which was a huge success. And thank you for that, by the way.
Thanks.
Because I know that was a lot of work putting it all together.
Yeah.
Like,
But I
mad,
think
yeah.
that shocks people too, because I approach all of these normal industry things from a completely different,
lens.
from a different like aspect. I don't know. I just look at things differently, and I always want to be different than everybody else, and I always want to execute it flawlessly. And
I think that's because you're not from our industry.
yeah,
You're outside of our industry coming into our industry. So it makes you different because our industry is, one, it's small, but this is the way you do it, and this is the only way it's ever been done. So this is the way you have to do it. And
I
you're
think
like, wait a second, I can change it.
yeah, there are no rules. This is like the Wild West of industries, and I
That's a
think
true
that
statement.
I piss off a lot of people because I'm doing things differently, and
And you're a female. in
I'm
our
a
industry.
female, and they're like, "How dare you?" type of thing. They talk a lot of shit about us in our industry.
You don't know how to do the work, so you can't say it.
Yeah.
That's their take on it.
How's your marketing and branding going, brother?
Right, exactly.
Who's talking about you? Because
Yeah,
y'all are all talking about us.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to get the bad with the good, and I'm fine with that. Clearly, I'm fine with being talked about. But if you're not being talked about, you're not making moves.
It's true.
So,
Especially negatively. If you're not being talked about negatively.
hey, I don't care negative or positive. My name is coming out of your mouth.
That's true. That's true. But we have some big things coming up.
Yes.
This year, we're about to head on a huge trip.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty awesome for for me and you as a vacation, and to get to see some stuff we've never seen before.
Yeah. And I think we keep people on their toes because we don't divulge a lot of our plans. We just
Here it is.
There you go.
And then we have a big project coming up that will be
Huge.
big head turner.
Huge.
Big head turner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to set. We feel like it's going to set the industry on its head a little bit.
Yeah.
In the U.S. at minimum.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh, for sure. And the next couple of months are going to be pivotal for us, and I'm so nerve-sided about it. Like, it's going to stretch our comfort zone so much.
And that's nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's no playbook.
Nah.
There's nobody we can point to and go, "Oh, they did this." We're really striking out and paving a whole new path that isn't guaranteed.
Hell, this whole industry is the Wild West. It really is. We don't have a tax category. We don't have any category at all that says this is what you do.
Yeah, we just have
It's
to
just
go with
automotive.
the closest related thing, and we latch onto that,
Yeah.
for descriptions, and we're like, okay, but that's not really what it is, but
Right.
there's not a better choice. So I'm like I said, I'm nervous and excited about what's to come, very prayerful and thoughtful about what's coming and what we're going to accomplish. I'm excited.
Sorry.
I'm excited to be able to put it out there when when it finally comes to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really awesome. Well,
It's not been easy on us either.
No.
Like
I mean, that's the big problem with entrepreneurship is whether you're doing it by yourself or with a partner or even a spouse. That's even harder because you don't get that separation at all. Like a partner, you can go home and be away.
Yeah.
But the spouse, you still got all the family drama at home with the kids and we have 2 teenagers now, one driving and just having a job and all that stuff, and and then we have the younger one that still goes to school. Now the other one's driving, so he takes the other one to high school too. But it's like we have all that family dynamic at home, and then we come into work and still have all of it because then Danielle and all them are here, and then of course we treat all of our guys that way, so their family drama becomes our family drama too.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm like
just,
looking at Kieran's kid and being like, you better act right.
Right. Or when they have a death in the family, it impacts us all equally, just about. And yeah, it's a tricky thing to navigate. And even entrepreneurship by itself is tricky,
I think there's a lot to be said about how life and business impact one another. They're not mutually exclusive, and there's no way to separate them. Your life is going to impact the way you do business, and your business is going to overflow into your normal everyday life. And so that's really, I'm going to be telling a lot of stories in season 3 about that. And we're going to be diving into other people's stories, life stories, and how they navigated that and how that has impacted their careers and their businesses. And so I just really appreciate you diving into my story a little bit.
Of course. I'm very proud of you. You have built, we've built all of this. You built this podcast, and this is the 3rd season. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy
and
to
it's
say?
been so fast. You and Tutu put this together pretty quick.
Yeah.
And It's crazy and fun at the same time to watch it build, right? You get nervous about it, but it's like when you look back, you're like, oh my God, where'd the time go?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
proud of
exactly.
you. Proud of you.
Well, thanks, babe.
Proud to be your husband.
Aw.
So,
You're just a big old mushy gushy.
well, thanks for having. Thank you for being on my podcast. And
We've created a monster. Now he's going to want his own podcast.
no, I don't do great public speaking. That's not my strong suit. I'll let you do that. I'll just work under the car.
Well, guys, as always, thanks for listening in today, and make sure that you follow and subscribe and rate everywhere that you listen. Share it on your social medias. Maybe this will inspire somebody else. And until next time, talk to you later.